Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the U Sports community.
A community striving to enhance youth sports.
I'm Taylor Medic.
I'm Sean Connaughton.
And I'm Matt Ma.
Thank you for joining us today. The youth sports community is proudly presented by Nuance Hockey and Ma Golf.
Nuance Hockey provides detail-driven on- and off-ice development in the Edmonton area. For more information, please visit our website at nuance.hockey and follow us on social media.
Ma Golf provides elite coaching for golfers of all skill levels at the Millwoods Golf Club in Edmonton. Our apparel is provided by Bird & Barley, prairie-inspired, golf-focused. To receive 15% off your next order, please visit birdandbarley.com and use our promo code YSC15.
Our apparel is customized by FG Promotions. Step up your brand game with corporate or team merchandise. Quality, consistency, customization, from hockey jerseys to golf balls, they've got it all. Head over to fgpromo.ca and mention YSC for 5% off your first purchase.
This episode is produced by Dylan Flash of Bolt Media and Design, and hydration is provided by Earthwater. We are very excited to have Jake Lanferman joining the community for today's podcast episode.
Coach Lanferman has just wrapped up his fourth season as the head coach for the Edmonton Collegiate Hawks of the Canadian Collegiate Baseball League. It was a historic year on the mound in 2024 as the pitching staff set a new CCBC record for team ERA with a 2.73.
Lanferman was named the head coach for the Edmonton Riverhawks of the West Coast League in 2023. In 2024, he led the team to their first playoff berth as a franchise, finishing the regular season with a record of 32-22.
In 2025, the Edmonton Riverhawks finished 34-20, which won them the North Division. They went on to win their first playoff series as a franchise, but fell short in the WCL North Division semifinal. Lanferman holds an 87-82 record as a manager in the WCL.
Coach Lanferman played 3 years of NCAA Division II baseball at Fort Hays State University in Kansas before transferring to the University of British Columbia to play 3 more years of NAIA baseball, where he completed his Bachelor of Arts in Psychology.
He recently graduated from the University of Western States, completing his Master of Arts in Sports and Performance Psychology. During the summer, he played baseball for the Edmonton Prospects and Sylvan Lake Gulls in the WCBL.
Lanferman helped coach Team Alberta in the U16 Western Canadian Prospect Series in 2023. The Sherwood Park native is proud to be heavily tied to the local baseball community as it grows and develops elite players.
Jake, we really appreciate you taking the time to be here, and welcome to the U Sports community. How you doing today?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on today, guys.
Well, you're second baseball guy for us, so we're really excited to dive into that and lots of good discussions today. But let's start off like we do with all our guests. Jake, what are some of your earliest memories in youth sports?
Yeah, my earliest memories would probably date back towards when I was growing up in Ardrossan, so playing hockey and baseball for the Strathcona Warriors way back then. And then, and what we did there wasn't even rep baseball in Ardrossan. So playing catch and learning the game in the backyard with my dad and then developing to play organized and eventually moving to Sherwood Park. But yeah, I think those early, right behind Ardrossan, the elementary school, was the baseball field where we'd get together and start playing catch, and that's where my fuel and love for the game kind of came up.
That's great. And so when was your first kind of exposure into structured baseball? You know, you talk about a little bit of those unstructured moments.
Yeah.
When did it kind of kick in a more structured environment for you?
I think I started playing structured baseball and hockey probably ages 6 and 7 when I was really young. So, those organizations, I was at Strathcona and Ardrossan for a really long time, and then eventually moved into Sherwood Park for baseball, but stayed there for my whole hockey career and played all the way to Bantam and in Strathcona, which was awesome.
Who got you into hockey? You know, everyone, as Canadians, that's kind of maybe our first sport we play. Who got you the skates and on the ice at a young age?
Yeah, my dad definitely helped, and he didn't really have a hockey background either. I think growing up being an Oilers fan, watching the Oilers, falling in love with guys like Ryan Smith and playing some gritty, hard-nosed hockey was definitely my kind of style. And there's a lot of things translatable between baseball and hockey, and tipping pucks in front of the net was something that I try to take pride in and transferred pretty well to the baseball field. So, definitely my parents and my family, and I think everybody in my family just loves sports and the ability to compete. So it's been a natural fit for me my whole life.
That's usually a pretty big theme for us, is just the overlap of one sport to the other. Any other things that you found as you were going through these early years in these sports where you could take something you were learning from hockey and it made you a better baseball player, or something from baseball that you could pull into hockey and use an advantage there?
Yeah, I think those first few years of stops and starts on my skates really helped me as a base stealer in baseball. So the ability to have really quick footwork right off the rip helped me when, hey, I'm trying to translate it to stealing bases and reacting fast off of pitchers. So that's something I found early on. I was like, hey, it translates more than you think, and I think the hand-eye, even catching baseball, batting the puck out of the air, stick handling, those two things worked really well in sync for me too.
Was there one that you gravitated towards like early?
Yeah, hockey. It was hockey for me all the way until I probably made that decision, and that decision came when I was 15 years old, going into 10th grade. So not an easy decision, and one that you eventually have to make. But I love that the off season or winter was for hockey and summer was for baseball, and that progression always helped me not get too burnt out, because I love both and I played both a lot growing up. But it was nice to turn the page and go, okay, now I can go play this sport and not be so fixated on, okay, making the next team, making AAA, doing this and that. And yeah, it helped me a lot.
Helps break up the goals a little bit there, so you're not just super
For sure.
focused. Yeah,
100%.
Did you find that there was a little bit of pressure potentially, not necessarily from parents, but even from coaches in those different sports, to specialize earlier than 15?
Yeah, I think even when I was coming up in youth sports, it might have not been as prevalent as it is now, but I do feel like we're starting to see that more and more. And it was something that my parents just preached for as long as they could, was play as many sports as you possibly can and get as athletic as you possibly can. And it was something that I never took away from it. And through junior high, I played, I think, badminton, volleyball, basketball, soccer. Like, I tried to just get my hands off anything, because I love to compete, and I always felt like my ability to compete was something that just drove that focus for sports. And it was huge for me, and love for anything I was doing, as long as I was getting the best out of somebody else and out of myself, was huge. So
You mentioned big family reunion coming up, and
Yeah.
you're quite the uncle. How were the siblings involved in terms of sports growing up? Baseball games outside, outdoor rink. What happened between the siblings?
Yeah, I mean, both of my sisters were athletes too. They played soccer, a lot of soccer, and now they both each have two sons. So I have 4 nephews, and it's awesome to watch them. I didn't think that it's tough to not be. I'm almost more passionate about their careers than when we're in the middle of the summer and I'm trying to win ball games with the Riverhawks. But to be able to have them come around the field has been just awesome. They get to experience the crowd, the fans, be bat boys, stuff like that. But they do the exact same thing that I did, and they play baseball in the summer and hockey in the winter. And it's funny to see kind of each guy individually starting to lean more towards a little bit love for baseball or hockey, and it's cool to see each one of them kind of grow up. So, yeah.
Is it the same message that you're trying to preach to them, that, hey, there's these outside pressures that are maybe saying you got to specialize in one, earlier than, might be healthy for you, and you're trying to still encourage them, hey, hang on to that multi-sport as long as you feasibly can? Yeah,
I think that's my message to them. I think it's also trying to find what you do really well in the sport that you are playing, right? Mm-hmm. So like for my nephews playing hockey, it's trying to find that position that you feel most comfortable with. And but I think it's going to be, at the end of the day, still playing baseball if it's something you're passionate about. And I think that was the thing that made my decision to only play baseball and quit playing hockey was my parents telling me, hey, it's got to come from within, and it's whatever you're passionate about. And made Team Alberta for baseball, and that really led that transition. And moved on really early on. I played Sherwood Park baseball when I didn't move from Strathcona to Sherwood Park for hockey. So I was already playing the highest level I could for baseball. When hockey, I was still playing AA in Bantam, and it was like, hey, this is a good fit. And St. Francis Xavier, it gave us the ability to play baseball when we were in high school. So that really molded my decision. Yeah.
Then who got you into baseball?
That's honestly a good question. I'm not even really too sure. Like, it was just it just kind of happened where it was. I know it was my parents wanted me to make that decision. Like, so it was any kind of possible sport we could play in the backyard, we were playing it. And my dad played a lot of basketball, and then he also enjoyed badminton. And it was just things where, hey, if you can play organized in junior high and continue trying them out, then you're gonna find that fuel within yourself. So.
How close from what I remember, Ardrossan, the rink is, like, it's not a big area, but the rink is right there. Like, how far are you from the rink?
Well, we grew up, like, on Range Road 213, so I was probably still 10, 15 minutes, yeah. And then, I was still living on the acreage when I was going to FX, so talk about commitment. My parents were driving me 45 minutes a day to go there, and my dad was working at 6 a.m., so you're working out in the gym pre-school, right? It's cool to see those sacrifices that they made to make it work for me too. But yeah,
it's not an easy drive in.
No.
Dead of winter and going to work.
Exactly.
But also, like, to your credit too, then you did something with your time.
Yeah, 100%. You're not just I think, and that was just instilled by my dad, and super grateful that he had that kind of drive. But it was also, what are you doing today to get better at something that you're passionate about, right? And I know a lot of us have those really good role models, but he was huge for me on that regard.
So you mentioned golf before the show. When did golf start to find some time in your busy multi-sport life?
Golf never helped my baseball swing. So it wasn't until post-retirement where I started to take it a little bit more serious. But it's funny, my dad, he won a silent auction to it was 2 passes for a full summer at Toefield. So that's where we started. I must have been 12 years old, and he had never swung a club before, and we went out and we maximized that membership. I'll tell you that. I probably golfed 20, 30 times that summer, and it was awesome for us to kind of pick up a sport together at the same time and learn. And he still plays a ton and he loves it, so it was cool.
I think that's the neat thing with golf is different generations can play together for a very extended period
and, like,
of time.
highly competitive, right?
Yeah,
like, there's not a lot of other sports. Like, I play squash, but even that, you can get it to get very, very competitive between any age range.
Totally. I mean, being able to handicap it, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's not a lot of sports where you can do that, and essentially, I mean, we all have our gripes with the handicap system. We've all been by a guy with a high handicap at some point that, shoots way under his cap and smokes you in the net game. But overall, I mean, it is very unique. It allows you to level the playing field somewhat, and that's really unique to golf. So did you find, you and your dad, he's kind of starting from where you're at. He's obviously older and probably able to just kind of have a little bit better body awareness, but did you guys kind of develop in tandem a little bit then?
Yeah, and, like, the things that I was really good at early on is just club head speed. I think that came from baseball, so I could always hit the ball far, but that's where I feel like his iron game and his short game really propelled him to where it's going to take a lot of time to be able to work on those things, and so I still am working on them. But so it's funny because we have 2 completely different games, right? I have almost length in my game where his short game is pretty awesome. So he's a really good golfer.
Some good battles though, like
some really good battles. But one that's pretty funny is a good story. But we were golfing, and he's second shot on a par 5 at Countryside, and you can't see it's on the back. You can't see the hole, and he stripes a really good hybrid, like probably 230, 235. This was maybe 5 or 6 years ago. But we're driving up to the green, and I see my ball and I don't see his ball, and then sure enough, this guy gets an albatross on this hole, and we're neck and neck. We're probably 1 or 2 strokes out, and then he just kind of took it from there. But no, it's fun, and it was that was a good one, good memory.
Do you guys still play together quite a bit?
Oh yeah, a lot.
I mean, that's the other great thing about it is because of that handicap system, I mean, you're able to keep those relationships going, where in a lot of other sports, like if someone's, below the skill level of the other player, you can't necessarily play, 20 years consistently with that person, right? So
that's why to play tennis or squash, if the ball's not sort of coming back. It's
Right.
you got to tailor
It's not
your
as
game
fun.
a bit
Totally.
in that way. Whereas in golf, like you could shoot
Your own
below
game.
par, or you could shoot 120, but you're still both playing, but separately, but together.
100%. Yeah.
100%.
You mentioned, on the subject of your father, you mentioned like, getting the rides to school and that car ride there and showing up early because he had to go to work. And then, you saying, what are you working on today to get better? Did that come from him? Did that motivation, or like, hey, I'm bringing you to school early, what are you going to do?
Yeah, and I don't think I was just a driven kid, I feel like, too, in that regard. Like, I never knew what sport it was going to be, but I always assumed that, hey, I was going to work myself to an athletic scholarship in some sport. And, fortunate enough that I was able to do that. But, it really was established through him. And it didn't really matter what we were doing. Like, we're on acreage, we grew up, but it's like, hey, if you're doing something, you better go full in. And that was something that, hey, I'm proud of. And I think my sisters did a really good job of too. But if it's helping out with chores around the house or whatever we're doing, you better get her done and do it well. So, yeah, that was something that it was a really cool message from him to hear as a younger athlete, for sure.
Any specific examples of what you kind of did to check that box for your dad and for yourself? Because, I think of, again, today, it's not everybody, but, you have kids that are dropped off at school early and, things are just a little different. The phone is very distracting, and, a lot of kids are sitting there just playing games on their phone when, you could be doing something more productive for sure. Obviously, having a break is important, but when it's that same sort of habit day in and day out, you sit there and you're kind of like, well, if there was that thought process like you had of like, hey, I got an hour, I got 30 minutes here.
Yeah.
There's steps that I can take to move the needle forward. I just think it would be great to maybe hear some of the sort of specifics of what you kind of did with that time.
Yeah, I think, well, even on the acreage, like, I felt if there was anything that I was struggling to develop, and I would try and ask him, and we would just find the fix. So, like, I feel like when I was starting to work on mechanics more for a hitter in grade 8 and 9, like, we would get a tee and we would set it up, and I remember him just either front tossing me balls or feeding the tee, and having some kind of execution we were trying to work on in that day. And hey, it's something that I bring into my coaching philosophy still. We're not going to fix everything, all of our problems mechanically, fundamentally in a day. But what is the one thing? What is the one process that we're looking to work on today? And results out the window, whether we're hitting the baseball well for contact or for power, or am I working on my hinge, my load, the way that I'm swinging? Like, and that was something that stuck out to my head. It's like, we're not going to see results, and that's where a lot of kids we struggle with it, right? We put in all this time, effort, hours and hours and hours, and then gameplay comes and we don't find success. But you have to understand it's a game of failure, and it's going to come in baseball specifically, right? So
Totally.
I thought that was a big thing that he established to me. It's like, as long as the work ethic's always there, the success, the results are going to find a way to come. And it might take time, but it's going to come.
It's cool that your dad already, like, maybe didn't know this at the time, but he's putting the process before the outcome. Like, just stick to the process, like, and especially in baseball too, because, like, your percentages aren't very good.
No, yeah, I mean, yeah, especially nowadays, you're seeing guys that are continuing to play with 30, 40 home run seasons hitting 220 or 230 when I always used to be 300 is what we're trying to aim for. You're an elite hitter if you're getting a hit every 3 at-bats out of 10. When you say it like that, it's a game devised on failure, right? But yeah, and like I did my master's in sports psychology, and when we're learning these processes, and it's like going back to retained information that I've had in my childhood is pretty cool to see that, and I think that was a big contributor to everything that I found athletically, in my young career for sure.
Now, is that a product of just the pitching getting substantially better, that the hitting percentages have dropped?
Yeah, I think you're starting to see. Yeah, it's a wild west right now where pitchers are throwing harder. Post-pandemic, I've never seen so many guys hit 102, 103, 104. Guys are hitting 105 miles an hour, and the ability to have all this technology to change their stuff to do insane things. That being said, you're starting to see a lot of Tommy John is becoming more prevalent, and there's a lot of injuries that come with it. But I think in general, baseball is just getting more advanced, and pitchers are getting better. But so are hitters. It's just it's tough. It's a challenging. You look at professional baseball; it's challenging. Every level is, but for sure.
I find like the hitting strategies changed in the last probably 5-10 years as well to contribute to that.
Yeah, well, I think the game fans, everybody loves home runs, right? Like it's you're on a tightrope where you want to showcase the power the MLB does, obviously, and you've seen the rule changes they've made in the last couple of years to try and speed the game up and make it more entertaining. But at the same time, I think it's a lost art to hit for contact. It's not sexy. It's not right. It's not appealing to everybody to go have a Bo Bichette year where you're hitting 320, 330 when, hey, you could have a Vlad year and hit 30, 40 home runs, right? But, that's the part of the game that when I was growing up was really kind of pounded in our mind. It's your ability to get on base and do that well and set up for other hitters too. So, yeah, it's interesting to see the game kind of develop in that regard.
Just going back to, that example of working on some of those skills and handpicking the ones that you needed to develop. For a lot of young athletes, they get into a practice situation and they want to work on what they're already good at. We've all been there, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're already good at the slap shot, you want to take some slap shots. Yeah. And to a certain extent, that is beneficial. You want to continue to build confidence with the skills that you already have. How did you kind of get yourself... Obviously, your dad sounds like a big influence there, but were there any other things that you had to do to kind of motivate yourself to dig into some of those skills that would certainly frustrate a young athlete a lot more?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think, like you just said, like when it was hockey specific, I didn't have a strong backhand, but I had a lot of breakaways, and my main move was to pump fake and go backhand. Yeah. But it was, hey, you're not finding success in game, so when you're out shooting pucks, well, you better throw in 50 backhands a night, whatever that is, right? So, and you hit the nail on the head. I don't want to go out shoot backhands. I can barely get the puck to the net. But hey, like this is something that obviously I need to do, and I thought that the ability. It also came from teammates. I thought, like on the baseball side of it, when I played high school baseball, our last year was Sherwood Park Dukes, I think, and the entire starting lineup earned a athletic scholarship to go play in the States, which is something kind of unheard of in the area. And that group played together for 8 to 10 years, and we started to just push each other in practice, where our coaches did an amazing job. Josh Bishop was with us a really long time, but I thought that was one thing that the best teams that I was on as a kid in youth sports, you start to get inner competition that pulls the best out of yourself in practice. And now I'm not only sizing myself up looking like, hey, okay, how do I get better? Okay, how do I get as good as him? Right. How do I take my game to where we are all getting better, because we're getting better individually, but I played with Sam Steele, and he was 3 years younger than me, and he would get called up to our tournaments and be the best player on the ice 3 years younger than us. And that's when you're like, this is incredible, but hey, what can I take from his game that can make me a little bit better?
Totally.
And he's supposed to be looking up at us, but it wasn't like that at the time, right? And hey, he's in the NHL, but yeah.
Well, that's cool. I mean, it's cool to see that, like you said, you start developing these games within even a locker room or a team, and that competitiveness, like, you've mentioned before, like you kind of had that intrinsically. Yeah. Now all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, if my backhand's going to be a deficiency that's going to not allow me to be as good as, my teammate here who's pushing me back, then there's that motivation to go and to, kind of bring those skills up to par or exceed them, because you want to be better than the guy next to you in the room. And that kind of energy and mentality certainly seems to spread if there's multiple people in that situation that want that.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a buy-in to that culture, right? And I think on the college level, like obviously now this is going to me post playing career and coaching, but that's the best teams that I played on in college and along the way, where we had that ability to do that, and the coach set it up so that we're gamifying practice. We're making practice. If our inner squad is more difficult than who we're going to see on the weekend, then at UBC we're going to get better, right? And that was something that we had elite arms, and we got to see them midweeks and before we went and played other really good conference games. But to me, hey, that's how we try and set up now for our college program. It's if we can get that, maximize the most out of every week with everybody individually, we're going to be fine when we go play other competition, right? Which is, an interesting way to look at it as a coach, but it's definitely what I found was most productive as a player. So try and bridge in the gap.
And it sounds like the competition was healthy especially like in those the your high school years where there's maybe teams that have that inner competition and it can create conflict. But it sounds like you guys just pushed each other and it was healthy and everyone was positive.
Yeah, and it's also understanding roles. Like I think that was a big piece of that. When I think of like my hockey career, I knew my game. I wasn't trying to be the sniper. I knew I was going to be a hard-nosed guy. I'm going to be in the corners. I'm going to set other guys up. I'm going to get more assists than I do goals. And I'm going to work the penalty kill extremely well, and I'm going to do little things right. And I don't know if that was just Strathcona, our culture, being kind of, out of the city, like a rural team. But it was something we took a lot of pride in. And I thought buying into those roles, establishing them, really helped us all win as a team. When you're trying to do something that you're not, then that's when I find we struggle in any sport.
Sort of having the self-awareness of your skill set at the time, which is pretty mature for a younger
100%
for sure. Because on teams you sort of have to organically sort of figure out where you fit.
100%, yeah.
You mentioned Josh Bishop earlier. Did you have any other coaches? Because to Matt's point and what you've been saying, like sometimes that's difficult for young players to understand. Okay, well, we need to have these roles and you can't do everything.
Yeah.
Were there any other coaches that were, strong influences along the way that kind of helped with that or other things?
The one that was really prominent, and you ask any of us that went to FX and some pro guys now still playing that went there, Sheen Bromley was the guy that established all that for us, kept us, you have basically everybody, the best baseball players in Edmonton, going to play baseball academy. So you're keeping all of our egos in check. You're keeping us accountable on a daily, which prepped us for college because this is expected out of you and there's no way around it. And then the ability the things he was teaching us at a really early age, I didn't even get grasp of until I was in college. And something that he would really beat into us was working the ball the other way, trying to hit it deep and use the whole field. It's really easy for a younger hitter. I don't want to hit the ball to right field. It's basically equivalent to a backhand. I can't hit the ball hard to right field or opposite, so I'm going to pull the ball as hard as I can to left, and I'm going to show everybody how strong I am, right? But then as you grow up and, hey, now I'm a college level player, and you're like, I should have been taking that even more, working on that in my high school game and then my college career earlier, because that's where, hey, the pitcher's trying to spot up on the outside corner and get me out by that kind of means of procedure. So he was awesome and really fundamental for us at FX. And Josh Bishop was huge, and then I had Cam Houston for St. Albert Prospects when I played there in grade 12. And there's a lot of really good baseball guys that structured my knowledge of the game, which was huge.
On the defensive side of things in baseball, what position were you? Were you the same position growing up, or did it take some while to, like you mentioned, finding your role?
So I played infield and outfield for a lot of my career. I pitched as well. So I actually went to college as a two-way. I was a pitcher and an outfielder, and I kind of did that from my whole freshman fall, and then really realized, I want to be an outfielder. I want to hit. So I worked really hard to try and hone in on that, and that's what my game kind of became. I wasn't no Shohei Ohtani, so I had to choose one and go that way with it. But that I was defensively in the outfield. I played to my strengths. I had a really strong arm. I was fast. And then as a hitter, that was the one thing where it was like you can be really strong in Alberta, and then you go down to the States and you're like, okay, this is higher level competition, and this is what it looks like, and this is how I have to get there. And it took me 2 years to do so. I played as a true freshman, and I didn't play much. I came in as a defensive upgrade, a speed upgrade, steal bases. I played 28 games, I think, and then they gave me the option, and I took my second year just to redshirt. So I went in probably soaking wet at 145 pounds in my freshman year, and I came out year two going into my sophomore year at 195. So It was a lot of trying to put in that time of over 2 years to understand, hey, if I'm going to compete against 21, 22-year-old men, I got to do what I got to do on that side to get there, right?
When was your first kind of taste of that bigger pool of elite players existing? Did you have the opportunity as a younger ball player to get into any tournaments in the States and sort of start realizing like, hey, okay, there's some elite players in Edmonton, there's some more elite players in Alberta, and there's even more elite players across North America.
Yeah, the eye-opening one for me. So, me and a couple of my friends, we went to the Perfect Game Showcase in Florida. I think it was Jupiter, and you have all the main top draft guys are kind of traveling around for these perfect game showcases and doing these showcases to get higher draft stock and whatever that looks like. And then I was on Team Purple, and day one is just a showcase style. You're testing everything out, right? And I thought I showcased okay. It wasn't anything great, but at that showcase, there's a shortstop. His name's Nick Gordon. He's D. Gordon's little brother. He takes a backhand at shortstop, and he pulls it 97 across the diamond, and it's raining in Jupiter, like Florida Jupiter. It's not a day to showcase yourself like that, and this guy's just pulling BBs across the infield. And I was just like, I don't think I could physically ever in my life throw a ball. I think 91, 92 from the outfield is what I'm pulling down, and this kid's just effortlessly on the backhand doing that. And then there was a Dominican team. They were wearing baby blue, and this kid pulled the ball down from the outfield 101-5. And I thought the ball was going to hit the ground, but he spun it so much, like four seam, that it almost rose to the catcher and hit him in the chest. And I was like, all right, and then this is where the game has opened up in my eyes. I made the World Showcase the next day, which was very cool, and I played with a lot of the guys who got drafted that first round that year. But it was that was the big eye-opening experience for me, and it was a big one.
Do you ever get an opportunity for that? I know Dylan Flash on our one other episode, he talked about going to the Rogers Center for that big Canadian showcase.
Yeah.
You ever get to do that?
Yeah, so I played in that same tournament. That was the first year they did it in 2014. So we both were able to go to T12, and that was a really cool experience. That was amazing. But you basically have just a showcase of every single province is taking an all-star team, and you got 12 teams there, right? So that was really cool.
Now, I can't remember. Is that just Canadian
That's
players,
just
though?
Canadian, yeah.
Okay.
And don't get that mixed. There's still like Josh Naylors and right extremely high level, but the one in Florida was like, this is your whole draft class in all North America, and that's why I was just like, wow.
Totally.
Yeah.
So what kind of motivation did that lead to? Obviously, you have the awareness to be seeing, the details of, some of these plays that these guys are making and how high level it is.
Mm-hmm.
When you got back, the week later, 2 weeks later, and decompressed from that experience, what were your kind of next steps?
I think like it was understanding, okay, there's pieces of my game that I do really well, and I need to continue doing well and then take that to the college level. I committed like a few months after that showcase specifically, and if I would have went back, you realistically would have done those showcases earlier in my career. But in 2014, like baseball in Alberta, we're at such a better spot right now with getting allocated looks to every player, right? There wasn't a lot back then. You had to show out in Team Canada events or like T12, but so it allowed me to understand, hey, I'm at the time I'm undersized, I'm not a power guy, but I run the bases really well, I can steal bases, I play strong defensively, and I hit for contact. So it was trying to understand, okay, this is my bread and butter as a baseball player, and this is what I got to do to try and get to the next level, which was the constant goal. So I went to Fort Hays State University out of high school. I was 17. I hadn't turned 18 yet. We're at the NCAA meeting with our whole team. Everybody that is possibly there is there. So there's like probably 45 people in the room. And then the coach goes, is there anybody who can't sign this waiver because they're not 18 years old? And of course, I'm like 17-year-old Canadian in the back, throw my hand up, and then I go to the front to sign this thing for myself. And I was like, geez, this is a big eye-opening experience, right? But fortunate enough to play there 3 years, and worked really hard to transfer back to UBC and get out of Fort Hays. But
what's the recruiting process like? As a baseball player from Alberta, it sounds like going to those showcases, that's where you're directly recruited out of, or is there like, do scouts come up here and watch? They have a really good process now with these travel academy teams, and they didn't have those when we were growing up 10 years ago. So these travel showcases, they'll go play in perfect game tournaments, so not like individual showcases, but they'll play
perfect game tournaments. They will take part in, obviously, the T12. They're doing something that's really cool. It's called Road to Okotoks now in Calgary. And basically it's a national level tournament showcase that they have 16 tournaments all over the whole country, and the top 2 teams from every that win and qualify then go to Okotoks for this big tournament at the end of the year. So they're doing a really good job of taking all the natural talent and putting it in one spot for scouts to come watch those specific days where when I was playing, it wasn't necessarily that same look.
I'm sure the video helps. And
that's something where like I couldn't even find a bunch of like my older stuff or in high school. There's just nobody was taking video of us then, right? And yeah, exactly. Now they're just pumping it out and promoting guys, which is awesome.
I guess what led to your decision to go to Fort Hayes?
Yeah, I think at the time, I think it was a 65-70% athletic scholarship, which was huge. They offered me, like, my high school coach, Cam Houston, actually played in Fort Hayes in 2002, so it was a familiar connection. I knew that I didn't want to go JUCO, which kind of was different for me. So I didn't want to go take JUCO level schooling, and I wanted to go 4-year, which ended up helping me transfer back to UBC. But that was a big piece of it, and I think you're just eager. I wanted to sign. I wanted to get. I had ambition to go play in the States, and it helped me grow up and kind of individualize myself. But it was a big decision at the time.
I guess was your reason? Because I know when I was thinking of 2 or 4 years school, like the 4 was like sort of like, this might be a backup in case I don't go somewhere.
Yeah. I think that no, I was too naive then. I was still chasing the dream. I didn't necessarily want to go to, like, Hayes had 25,000 people, and I loved the town there and the experience there for 3 years. But if you're going JUCO, like some of those, you're living in an 800,000 person town in whether it be Kansas or Texas. And I think at the time I had those JUCO offers, but the 4-year looked more, NCAA looked more attractive to me, I think, at the time. But yeah, so that kind of led me in that direction. But
is being a true freshman in baseball pretty common? Like, I know in hockey it's not, because you usually play a year or two of junior. That, not to say that there aren't true freshmen, but it's definitely the minority. In baseball, how does that dynamic work?
As a Canadian, no. Like, it's very, I feel like that's very not very prominent. But yeah, there's a lot. Like, I think my incoming class, there's probably 10 of us true freshmen, and then that obviously changes year to year. But I was lucky. There's 2 guys in Edmonton area that were already playing at Fort Hayes State. So Cooper Langley and Kevin Zarnicki, and they were heck of baseball players too. So it was really nice to have the Edmonton, Alberta already be established and just kind of go under their wing for the year 1 and 2 and really kind of learn from them. And I mean, they had huge years. They were awesome at the end of it, and for me, it was really good to learn from.
How was that adjustment moving from home?
Yeah, that was big. Like, you're not thinking, hey, how? Well, I had a cafeteria card, which is huge. Like, that year 1, I wouldn't have made it work that way. But
were you in the dorms? Were you guys in apartments?
Yeah. I was in dorms for the first 2 years, and then lived in a house with a bunch of guys for year 3, which was fun. But yeah, it was big. And being 17, like, you're doing your own laundry and doing all that stuff, and you're like, all right, yeah, time to grow up. And I think it helped me in a lot. But it was just taking my free time, and they gave us just access to the gym and the facilities, which was huge. That was when it changed for me, and it was just like, man, I will just live in here if you let me, and that's how it kind of started again. Same to, I guess, my youth, but yeah.
I guess, how were the baseball training facilities compared? Because you went to FX, you said.
Yeah.
So how'd that compare?
Yeah, the baseball field was really nice at Fort Hayes. They have a all-turf infield, but the outfield was real. And then they had this brand new 60-yard indoor football facility. So we got to utilize that for indoor practices, but we stayed outdoors most of the time. And then I guess, yeah, I was just spoiled. I never played on a real infield my whole college career. UBC's facility was incredible. They built that when I transferred in. But you're right in Point Grey by the ocean there, and it's just gorgeous. So, yeah, I've been spoiled. In Remax, where I'm coaching now, we're spoiled.
Because it can be kind of all over
oh,
the
yeah,
place.
100%. You can be doing a lot of field maintenance and not get the nicer fields, I guess. But
And FX at the time, was that the first baseball academy in town?
That was, yeah, I believe so. Yeah, that was the first one that established in Edmonton. There had been a couple in southern Alberta, but that was the main one here.
Now, were you guys just a skills academy, like, and you had to still play your team events outside of FX?
Yeah, we were fortunate enough that we probably had a 20-game schedule in the fall, so we did go play like Medicine Hat and Southern Alberta teams, and so we would play games as an academy too. But then in the summer, we were just let free to go play for. Like, I would play in Sherwood Park in the summer. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's cool because there's not a lot of situations where the academy can necessarily be blended with the team being able to play games as a group. So was that a easy decision for you at the time? Like coming out of traditional school, was it kind of a no-brainer? Like, I'm really passionate about baseball. I can do baseball during the day. Was that?
Yeah,
I mean, other than the commute being a bit of a challenge, but
that was the driving force. It was just like, hey, but that was the decision that my parents, if we're doing that, then we're not playing hockey anymore.
Right,
and you're going full bore. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great to me. Like a lot of us went there in grade 10. It would have been 2012, I think, 2011. But yeah, that was. It was awesome to utilize. We also had like block 3 in that year, so like you'd get on the bus, start a lunch, and you basically had an hour and a half rain, 2 hours to just go and hit as much as we can and do drill work and infield stuff. So it was awesome.
So you'd be done your baseball training at school what time roughly?
Like we at
so you go to class till call it noon.
Yeah, we would still like it was just 1 block a day of 4. So. But like when you got into 12th grade, it would end your day. So then you could just stay at the facility after. It was like big league sports, which was kind of close there at the time.
So you'd be done at roughly what time?
I want to say, what is it, like 3? Would that be when
somewhere in there.
And then like what time would you get home, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, after the commute.
I guess it's tough for you.
Yeah,
but
4-ish.
So you're still home at 4.
Yeah.
So I guess the reason that I bring this up is like with academies, it's like you can have your training and your schooling done at 4.
Yeah.
You're home at 4, sorry, and you live not close.
Not close.
You have time for family, schoolwork, whatever, normal dinner. Whereas, say you don't go to an academy.
Yeah.
This is when you would now go to
practice,
and then you're not getting home till 7, 8, and then
yeah, for sure. Oh, it was a huge bonus of it.
Did you find that allowed you to focus on your studies even a little bit more too, like having more time? Because a lot of these athletes now, with the demand of their schedules and all the athletic commitments they have after school, like there isn't much time to get homework done, let alone get dinner.
Yeah, no, I think it helped clear it up. And I'm just kind of the guy where if I'm feeling productive or I get my workout done at school in the morning, and then I've also trained, then you get to do additional stuff at the end of the day when my homework's taken care of, right? If it's on the flip side, like in college, it's that feeling where, hey, I've underperformed on the day. I've taken classes up till 2 or 1 or 2, and now I have to go to practice. But the extra stuff outside of team stuff, that's where I always loved that. That was my favorite part probably.
And were you at FX for all 3 years of high school?
So I was just at FX for grade 10 and 11, and then FX kind of became, Sheen, wasn't there for grade 12, and they changed the coaches, so it started to disperse. So then I graduated at Bev Facey in Sherwood Park, but I was driving, same thing, 45 minutes to St. Albert, and then I was in St. Albert Prospects Academy for 12th grade.
Gotcha.
So I would just switched academies, and that was really beneficial too. It was good to see different coaching styles and different leadership styles. I enjoyed that in high school.
A lot of driving at it.
Yeah, a lot of driving. There was nothing in Sherwood Park that was there at the time, which was not ideal.
It seemed you were smart with time management though at a young age.
And I think that carried over to like still being 17 at college, understanding, okay, I gotta have this done. And when I'm recruiting guys for a college team, I think that's the biggest thing I tell incoming freshmen. It's like if you can begin trying to separate your studying and your athletic and academic pursuits right now, you're going to get better at it than the kid that doesn't put any mindfulness to it and then just goes to college. And we're overwhelmed because there's a lot going on, right?
Totally. Was there any way that, you were able to kind of, I mean, like anything, it's practice. If you get in the habit of managing your time better, it's going to become exponentially easier as you move forward. But, did that come from parents, from coaches? Where did the initial, understanding of like this needs to be a priority and maybe some initial strategy of how you could implement it? Was there anyone in particular there?
I think, like, again, my parents, but probably my mom more on that side, where it's just like delegating your time and being efficient with your time, which is just always something that stuck out in my head. And it's just even when we had downtime, like, as kids, we grew up in the acreage. I didn't have like much growing up when it came to video games and those kind of things, screens that nowadays we see a lot with youth, right? It's hey, you go go outside and then make fun and go play sports and do stuff, be active. And that was a big piece of that, I think, when I was kind of growing up. And if you only got so many hours in the day, especially here when it's dark, you might as well utilize them as much as you can, right?
100%. When you had to make that decision to choose baseball and, lean into it and go to FX, was there a period of time where, you were missing hockey and it was a hard decision?
Yeah, I still to this day, like I loved hockey. I think that was my first love for sport, was hockey. And but I mean, you play beer league now, and we try and do a lot of stuff with our academy. We'll go our college program. We go out to Sakers Acres there, and we run a tournament a whole day, and it's fun to integrate the different sports, and even seeing the guys that can't skate having fun with it, right? It's I think that's a big piece of athleticism and whatnot, but it's being in the team culture. It's making yourself, maybe I'm not comfortable, but I'm still opening myself up to the experience. And that's a big piece of it for our college program. And it sucked. It wasn't an easy decision, but you kind of commit to what you chose at the time. There's reasoning for it, and I think I had a better progression to get a scholarship and play college baseball for a long time rather than hockey at the time.
From a recruiting perspective for you, how much do you dig into seeing if guys are multi-sports athletes or were growing up until they specialized baseball?
I think it's a big piece. Like you'll see, it's funny, but we've taken a couple guys that played high level AAA hockey that chose the baseball route, and it just seems like footwork in the infield or the ability to be an athlete behind the dish and catch, like the guys that stand out in my mind, they are a little bit one up athletically. Like it's you get so cookie cutter in the same movements and being I wouldn't say robots, but you're cookie cutter with it. You can only take ground balls so many times where I'm getting more efficient with what I'm doing and I'm getting more confident in my skills. But hey, growing up, I think it just allows you to become more athletic and experience different ways to continue to do that as an athlete.
You notice with American baseball players, like they always grew up playing either football or basketball.
Yeah, and like, the football for sure, that changes everything. Like, these are guys that I probably started weightlifting consistently in 10th or 11th grade, and these kids were doing it in 6th or 7th grade. Yeah. Like, I went to college. Like, I remember I stood in the outfield, and I'm trying to make the team as our starting center fielder, and this kid probably has 85 pounds on me, and you're just like, this is crazy. Like, I am this far behind. It doesn't seem like it up here. But a lot of guys are undersized for baseball. It used to be. Now it's kind of changing, which is good. But
yeah, it's amazing how you can have that crossover in the interviewing process for the recruiting. To Taylor's point, like, are you trying to kind of have meetings, dig in, and even like the time management you mentioned, which is so important? Are those like those intangibles that you're trying to find out behind the scenes? Like, you have more stats than ever. Obviously, we talked about TrackMan and stuff before the show. But how much goes into trying to find the intangibles? Is this person a good teammate? Do they manage their time well? All those little pieces behind it. And if you're doing that, how do you do it? Because sometimes it's hard to get that information.
Yeah, like what comes to mind is trying to put together our summer roster. So I'm basically you're deciphering between all these Division I schools, all these Division I athletes that want to come here and play. Obviously, we had 148,000 fans come through. I think it was top 5 in attendance for all summer collegiate, right? Yeah. We're spoiled. Our facilities are incredible. But when it comes down to it, and I have the ability to, I usually just call their head coach. I want to grasp and engage on this guy as a person. Is he going to help us outside of the game of baseball? Is he going to grow the community involvement that we have? And our organization has placed a huge aspect on. And we do a lot of things throughout both programs, but in the summer, I'm trying to think, Monday Morning Magic at K-Days is something we do every year, and a lot of pieces to it where it's like, hey, is this guy going to enjoy it and fully buy in and understand that, hey, he's got to sign autographs for half an hour, 45 minutes after the game, because there's 300 kids that want to be like him in Edmonton area, right? And I think that's something that, I am super prideful about, because I'm from the area, and we know how important sports are here, but that's definitely a piece of it where, hey, if I got two guys and they're similar athletically, but one is an outstanding human being and wants to be here and put in the extra time for that, we're going to lean that way.
Right.
How much do you think kids don't realize they're judged on their character, especially at the age you're talking about, and maybe even younger too?
I think it's a lost art, but I don't know. With our college guys, I think that's the one thing in my coaching philosophy that it might be a little bit more unique than others, but if we can make these guys better young men and establish accountability and like values that they can carry over to workplace environment after, like, then we've done a pretty bang up job, in my opinion. And that's something that we lean on heavily, because somebody's going to tell you that you can't play the game anymore, and you can't get paid to play the game, or whatever that looks like. And having our education back us up to the next part of life. But I think that that's a huge piece of it, like you said. And I think it's a lost art with kids and in the youth sports community. It's winning like a champion, but it's losing like a champion, and having your head held high, even if it doesn't go your way, right?
Yeah.
So with the academic side, I guess the CCBC's in a unique spot where there's kids at different schools. I guess how do you? Is there a certain academic standard they need to keep, and like how do you manage, I guess, their academics without being totally affiliated with the school?
Yeah, so we have, like, within the organization, our operations manager kind of resides as the academic advisor through all three institutes, but then we also have people on every side of the school. So University of Alberta, Grant MacEwan, and NAIT are the three programs that we are comprised of, which is super unique, right? Because we can't set schedules necessarily, because every program runs a little bit differently, but we love it because it also allows guys to take a variety of different programs. And this is the only league in all of North America in which trade apprenticeships are actually allowed to play college baseball. So we have guys that are carpenters, welders, working towards becoming Red Seals second, third, fourth years, right? So it's we have like a good system put in place, but it is definitely challenging when it comes to practice time and when can we give the most to these guys to get better, right? It's definitely challenging.
So this allows them to potentially take classes at the different institutions as well. And
so we're almost like a 33 split, but we have 72 players in our whole program, and we're probably close to I'd say 30, 20, something like that, through like our out of town guys that come from the Maritimes, Ontario, BC, Saskatchewan are primarily coming because U of A is such a great institute educationally, but Grant MacEwan is also awesome, and same with NAIT. So it's different avenues, and a big piece of our program too is we'll have guys that'll go to U of A and play 5 years out of their whole college career and at Edmonton Collegiate. But we'll also have guys use this program as a bridge to then go to the States. So come here, get better in 2 years, which is something when I look back on my career, I would have loved to use. Instead, I know I didn't want a gap here at the time, but I would have liked to be involved in a college level experience and then setting myself up to go play in the States, which is so there's a lot of different like individualized paths for our athletes for the college program, but at the same time, it allows them to maximize their college career, which is
the guys that leave. Does those 2 years accrue, like, go against their NCAA eligibility?
It doesn't go against their NAI eligibility, and they don't take the CCBC as a true league where it would take a 1-for-1. So a lot of the time, guys will take 2 or 3 years, will be considered 1 year NCAA. Okay. So it's super unique, and it's
NAI you can go straight.
Yeah, like across. We have a catcher that's going to transfer to a NAI school in Ottawa next fall. He's played here 3 years, and that's the thing. He didn't make varsity in year one, so he played junior varsity, and then he worked his way up to being our starting catcher, and now he's going to go down as a true freshman 3 years. he's still 20 years old, but he's played 3 years of college baseball. So you're ready to transfer, and you've played college baseball. You're prepped for it. So
That's a great way to do it, actually,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
if you're not losing
Yeah.
eligibility, because you're taking some classes, which I'm guessing your academic advisor would help them pick the ones that'll transfer the best, and just gives them that extra time to develop and
For
get
sure.
bigger.
And that was the one thing that I felt really I could have used, like the physical maturation of it, and then going to college rather than the skill was there, but it's you got to have both to some degree.
How do you guys plan out, in terms of taking players from all three schools? Do you have, hey, we're going to take X amount from U of A, Grant Mac, and Nate, or could you essentially take all players from U of A?
Yeah, you could. I think it just kind of breaks down that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of split pretty evenly. It might fluctuate 5 to 10 guys one way each year, but yeah, this is going to be year 5 of our program doing this. So it's unique though. We had 21 players 5 years ago, and we've built it to where we now have a junior varsity and varsity team, and 70 plus guys is pretty cool.
And what does the season look like for the collegiate Hawks?
Yeah.
Not so much, the Riverhawks, because those are two different different things.
Report day is September 1st, really early when university starts, and those 2 months we just allocate to on-field development because we can before it snows, right? So this last fall we played 55 games, including inter-squads, but a majority of those against other teams where, we're getting all the on-field development we possibly can. And then as the spring comes, the varsity schedule has a 36 game conference schedule now. There's 3 teams in Alberta, and then there's 6 teams in BC. So that's the whole league is comprised of. But I would say it's very similar to United States structure for competition, but it's just we'll always start the season the first 3 weeks in BC because of the weather, and then we'll start to host home games in later kind of April-ish, mid-April.
You mentioned some of those kids that are, young men
Yeah.
that are able to play here and then go on and play in the States. Is there any downside in baseball to being in college as an older player in terms of your chances of continuing your career at the professional ranks?
The biggest thing is still maintaining the eligibility. You see when you become a junior, or like your junior year is probably your biggest year to get drafted. When you become a senior, they just have a lot of leverage on you. And then like thinking it's just our third baseman at UBC, Mitch Robinson, I played with a really long time there, but he had the ability. He got drafted in high school and turned it down to go to Florida International U on a full ride. Played there for a year and then transferred back to UBC. But when he became a senior, MLB has all. If you don't sign, you're essentially going to play semi-professional or something else, right? So when you're talking about signing bonus and stuff like that, there's not a lot of leverage because of that. But your best years, your junior or your freshman or sophomore years, you can be drafted at a JUCO, a junior college at any year. But if you go 4 years as a true freshman, you have to wait till your junior year to get drafted.
Right.
So it's a little unique in that.
And also, if you don't sign, you go back. It's not like with hockey.
Yes,
you can sign as an
100%.
18-year-old, but you're still with the organization.
Yeah.
It's a one-shot
Yeah,
deal.
yep, you got it. You're going straight to pro ball if you sign. So
Right.
if you turn down that year, you could get drafted the next year. And a lot of guys will do that early because you could get drafted as a high school player committed to a college, but you're not there yet. And that's what you see a lot of. Turning it down to go play college baseball and hope that, hey, in 1 or 2 years, I've built my draft stock so that I'm going earlier in the draft.
Right. So the earliest you can get drafted would be grade 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So then, that makes the decision pretty difficult, I guess. If
Yeah.
you are undrafted, are there still ways that you can get into the professional leagues?
But there's semi-professional leagues. I'm trying to think, the Frontier League and the IBL in Ontario is trying to change more towards a full professional league. It's more difficult, it's challenging, and guys will ride it out there a long time to get another look somewhat. But that's what's so intriguing about the WCL and our team in the summer is you can't take seniors in that league, so it's only guys that have draft eligibility.
Right.
And I think like 46 to 50 guys last year got drafted in the league alone that have played previously or currently, right? So in my mind, it's probably the Cape Cod League in the summer is the number one league. That's, it just stands out the most. And then every other league is very neck and neck. So we're right there probably for second best. And
there's a lot of Americans up playing in the WCL.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I mean, we're the only Alberta franchise. There's a few in BC, and then Washington and Oregon are all the.
So the league's changed quite a bit in the last. I remember there was like Sherwood Park and other teams around.
So that's the WCBL.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
No. But so that's the Western Canadian Baseball League. We're the West Coast League, and the West Coast League, we're the only Alberta team.
Okay.
But like Okotoks and whatnot, WCBL. But that's the tricky thing. It's the same league, same level of summer collegiate baseball, but the WCL is a little bit of a higher standard. So
Gotcha.
it's
and with the American teams in it too.
Yes,
you have that. You have that travel versus Western Canada.
Yeah, you got it.
Is there any sort of quota on the number of Canadians, like or import restrictions or anything like that for you guys?
Not as much as the WCBL. So it's kind of the Wild West in the WCL.
Right.
Do you guys try to take more Canadians if possible, just to showcase it?
Well, the cool thing about it is, like this last year, so your Division I guys will come kind of a couple weeks in or leave early if they're transferring, or there's a lot of reasons why get drafted. But we use our college guys to kind of have those temp contracts, our temporary contracts. So 10 guys on our college program to some capacity played for the Riverhawks last summer, which was really cool. And we've seen, 2 years ago, our pitcher from the ECH actually won West Coast League Pitcher of the Year. So
nice.
it's cool to see local level talent and get that involved, right? Which is huge. And those guys are local Edmonton boys that want to play. Yeah.
It's gonna be a showcase the city, but also for the fans coming. It's like there's a local kid here that we can see what he does in the future.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of our organization's pyramidal scheme of, hey, if I can play for the college program, work my way to the Riverhawks. We do obviously summer camps, and we're trying to establish ourselves in the high school academy levels too with athletics. That there's a kind of a gradual progression to get to the Riverhawks in the summer, which is cool.
For the Riverhawks,
go ahead. There's definitely a set pathway, like especially once you get to younger leagues too. Now there'll be a set pathway for an Edmonton kid to make the next step. Whereas
10 years ago was not the same.
I know, like when I was playing, you didn't even know there
we
was
didn't
like college
know.
baseball.
Yeah.
Like you just played and
100%. Even the structure of even summer ball now is very good in Canada. Like my freshman year, I went and played in Virginia Beach, and it was one of the best summers. But it's crazy, right?
I wanted to ask, with the Riverhawks, and given how good your facilities are and whatnot, do you get more guys calling you to come play, or is there that still hit the pavement hard for recruiting to bring guys up to Canada?
It's not as difficult now. I think we're probably one of the best franchises in all summer ball, in my opinion. But it's definitely establishing your really strong connections with the Division I programs you trust. And that being said, when they do send us guys, the level of guys that they are sending us, I've seen it both ways in the last 5 years. You can get undercut, and they want their guys play at this really strong level in front of scouts every day, and send you guys that aren't capable. And those are tough decisions to either send guys home or not take guys from certain programs. But then you also have the programs that produce unreal players that get drafted and play. So it's unique. It's tough. It's like the most unique part of it is last year we lost the the North Division semifinal. We lose that game, and then recruiting started 3 days after for this this next summer, right? Yeah. So that's it's unique.
Just never stops.
Yeah,
like the program, the football movie. They go recruiting right after
it's kind of how
the last game.
Crazy.
What about you mentioned you're getting guys from Division I schools. How do you handle if from a coaching aspect, if you're telling a guy, hey, play this way, this is how we want you to do it, do you get pushback? Well, my coach down in Niagara says we got to do it, or we do it like this, or last year we did it like this. How do you handle those conversations, or do you even run into that given you're dealing with high-level athletes that should know how to take feedback.
Yeah, it's not as difficult to deal with that. I don't think it comes up as much as as much as you would think. I think those guys at they're such an elite level that you're trying to add to their game and almost find a hybrid. Like 100%, if there's certain bunt plays or first and third plays and hey, we did this at school and there's a way we can make this better, then as a coach, then I would be silly to be closed-minded, right? And that's something that I try to I've always tried to keep in mind, and everybody's going to help you try and get better. You have to listen to it. But at the same time, it's being communicative with those guys, and there are some really big egos that guys know they're getting drafted, and it's trying to maximize their time in Edmonton and understand, like, hey, we're here to help you. We're here to help you get to the next level and do what we can to get you there. So,
well, it probably helps a little bit that, like you said, you're looking for high character guys coming in to the program. So, usually that's correlated with more of an openness for feedback and being a little bit more humble and open to new ideas.
100%.
On the other side of it, when you're talking to scouts, pro scouts that are looking at your guys to draft them, what are some of the biggest questions they're asking you?
I mean, it's directly tied a lot of the time into what we just spoke about with character.
Yeah.
The biggest things that I see and I'm asked is, hey, how do they handle themselves when things aren't going well? Right. When we're experiencing failure consistently? Hey, how did he act when he went that 4-game set where he struck out 5-6 times, right?
Yeah.
It's always easy to watch, and my head coach Chris Pritchett at UBC, it was something that I always taken with me, but it's, you should play the game at one speed, like somebody's always watching. Doesn't matter, right? Whether nobody is or it's a practice, or every time you step on the field, you never know who is looking at you and who has eyes on you. And it's not when you're just on the field between the lines, when you're in the dugout, when you want to throw the bat or throw the helmet and you're frustrated, and I think that's something that I really spoke to me as a player, and it helps our programs too if you can play at one speed all the time and control the intangibles and the things you can handle, which is how I go about representing myself with body language and positivity, right? Which is huge.
Totally.
I can't remember what college coach said this, but he almost wanted to be at a game where the kid might lose.
100%.
See, like, how does the kid react after with his teammates, his coach, his parents, and kind of see how that process goes about. It's easy when it's winning. Winning. Yeah. It's tough when you're losing.
Well, a lot of times the pro scout, they already know whether they're going to take this guy or not, but they want to see, hey, he's not going to find this kind of success in high school at the pro level. Mm-hmm. So they want to see how he handles failure or a bad game, right? I always think that's really interesting, but yeah, it's the same question. How is he as a guy? Is he easy to communicate with? How is he to his teammates and fans and everybody, right?
Yeah. In terms of that one speed message, and it's a really valuable perspective. Like, someone's always watching, and in today's day and age, it's not just on the field.
Yeah.
It's off the field. It's all the cell phones, all the cameras. We're talking about young men here. We've all been there. Mm-hmm. Is that also a conversation that has to be had with the players? It's not just on the field. You need to be thinking about, who's watching when you're off the field too.
100%. Yeah. And I think it's hype. Like, it's definitely just, it's fully emboldened for these guys because they're seen as superstars in the city. And I think that's come in the last 2 years with the playoff pushes and us being that close. And hey, when you're out and whether it's the college program, the Riverhawks, I have one rule. You're never going out in the bar wearing our logo, ever. So you'll never see our guys wearing our team logo. It wouldn't be one of our guys. And then, it's just you're being a stand-up person no matter what time it is, no matter where you're at, right? And trying to delegate that kind of time to, even if it's a kid who wants to have a quick conversation with you. And I don't know, that's how I was raised, and I think a lot of people should be more mindful to that, right? And privy to it, because people want your time and it's valuable. So what's a couple minutes to a kid?
100%. Now, you mentioned character is obviously a big thing for you, and it's great to hear it's a big thing at the pro level, and it should be a priority. That's very clear. Obviously the recruiting process is never perfect. People change. If someone who's having a little bit more of a challenge in that department is part of the team, or maybe there's a couple guys. What are some of the techniques that you use to try to, maybe show them that, hey, you need to look at it. You need to look at it a little bit differently.
Yeah, I mean, those conversations are never easy, right?
Yeah.
I think for me as a coach, my favorite as a player was just blunt honesty and tough conversations, but clear communication.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I try and provide them. If we're seeing something that we don't like, I'm going to tell you how it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell it to you. We're going to have a man-to-man conversation, and whether you like it, you don't like it, if you have questions, please ask, and we're gonna come out of it in a better spot, and we're gonna see more clearly, hopefully. And yeah, there might be the situation where that doesn't always happen, but I mean, I was coaching at 23 years old, and it was something more prevalent in my mind then, when it was like, hey, I'm only a couple years older than these guys that are coming to play for me.
Right.
But now it's obviously established, and I understand how I want to go about it. But yeah, they're tough conversations, right? And you have these guys that not only do they want to come and, hey, they want to win baseball games, they're ultra competitive people, but they also never been to Canada. They want to experience Edmonton. They want to have fun and do other things, right? Which we're not limiting them to not doing. But at the end of the day, that's it. You want to be a man at night, you got to be a man in the morning, right?
Right,
so,
right, yeah.
That's something that the guys learn to do, which is fun.
Now, is that typically a one-on-one conversation in those situations?
Yeah, unless it's like anything personalized, it'll be in my office. It wouldn't be in public. But more like you're gonna have more performance-based questions. Are gonna be more out in the open or in the cages, and I think that a lot of it stems from asking these guys how your girlfriend is. You're from Texas, you're from California, you're living in Edmonton for 2.5 months, right? You're making big sacrifices, everybody is, and hey, I'm taking myself away from my family for the whole 2 months. And it's funny, you only spend like 55 days with these guys, but you spend every second of every day with these guys, so you become extremely tight-knit. And I feel like that's what's propelled us the last 2 years to make the more deep playoff runs and have that kind of great team chemistry. It's how fast can we get on the same page, and if we can do that in week 2, we're laughing. But some groups are more difficult than others, but it's something that's fun to play around with in the first 5-10 days of the season.
Totally.
Getting into coaching, just tell us, that journey. And you just mentioned you're 23 and you're a couple years older than the guys that you're coaching, but how'd you start your coaching journey?
Yeah, I honestly had no in my mind did I want to coach really at the end of my playing career, but a friend of mine just kind of put my name in the hat for the college program. So I had an interview with the Riverhawks organization to coach that ECH team the first year that it originated, and that led to me. It's a funny story, but I wasn't supposed to be the hitting coach for the Riverhawks that summer, but the guy that was supposed to come in, his visa didn't come through. So then, now I'm the hitting coach that summer, and then they named me the head coach the next season, which was pretty cool. So it's been been an awesome trajectory in the coaching side of it, but something that I developed a ton of passion for. It helped me stay within the game post-retirement, which as a lot of athletes know, it was ideal. I still loved everything that I was doing. It was just it was an easy fit in that regards, and you take a lot of pride in the progression of these guys now and living vicariously through their careers, which is really, really fun. So
were there any moments kind of when you were still a player, like you mentioned, a lot of teams, really emphasize that connection with the community, and you're going out and you're running some camps or doing meet and greets, and, having a little taste in some of those situations of coaching at the youth levels. Were there any moments while you were a player where you had to do that, where you're like, I know it's thinking into the future, you're probably still really focused on, I want to play right now. Yeah. But were there any of those moments where you're like, man, I don't mind doing this?
The one that was the best experience we did every year at UBC was Challenger baseball. Yeah. So it's everybody participating has some kind of disability that's making it's kind of a shifted form of baseball, but it is the best day ever. Like every year I look forward to that day a lot, and it's just to make those kids' days, and the ability to watch them have fun at such a simplistic level of the game then made me take a lot of pressure on me at the end of my career too, thinking like, hey, it's just a game. I don't need to put so much pressure on myself to to get drafted and all this stuff, even when I'm talking to pro teams. So it was really fun to look back on it. And then I thought the passion and the passion that kids had, I worked at the youth level coaching throughout my whole college career, but that's what kind of sparked it. And it was a big jump. I never coached any. I guess I just went straight to college level as my first coaching gig. But it's fun to watch even those guys. Like, my favorite part of it is you work so hard, hours and hours and hours, and then it's just the one aha moment where you see it click and you watch it in game and you're just like, wow, like there you go. That's what we put all that time in for.
Totally. Do you find now on the other side of it that it's really a key piece to have your players involved in those scenarios?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think it just shapes them and allows them to understand that definitely in the summer too, like everybody just looks up to those guys as athletes, but also just role models. And even our summer camps, I kind of head those every year, and really it's just really great feedback from the kids and the parents that you get to have your kid in a camp with all of our players, which is really cool. So the guys love doing them and they love engaging with the kids, but it's pretty fun to watch that kind of grow.
You find like taking yourself out of the situation and being a coach, like looking at it from a different lens, can help kind of spark a different way to look at the game. Yeah,
I also think it just changed the importance of it as soon as I became a coach and started to look at it from a different viewpoint, where it's like, hey, like for a lot of those guys, that's is something not to only put on your resume, but like you can hang your hat on a lot of that stuff. And I did in my into my playing career, whether it's your helping mold your younger freshman teammates, the guys that are coming through, or even a couple kids that, hey, those relationships, like our billets and the families that these guys live with. And it's just really cool to see the stories, and then billets going down to Kentucky or D1 schools to watch them play. It's a lot of cool things that have happened over the years.
Do you ever find it also helps? I mean, again, it's not a huge issue for you, but you get some ego, like you said, involved. Do you ever find that those moments help provide a little bit of humbleness? Like I remember our junior team in hockey would do a community event a few times a year. Yeah. And you're out there working with 5-6-year-olds, and all of a sudden you're just like, man, like, you know, that's where I came from. You know, it gives you kids, you know, you need a lot of patience. There's a lot of different attributes that you need there versus just being a junior hockey player. It was great to give back. It felt very rewarding, but I also think it had this, you know, wave of, you know, humbleness that kind of helped with maybe some of us getting our heads a little too big at certain points in the season. Yeah, and I think
I think that's the cool part of even the summer is obviously like our top performers are going to be guys who fan favorite guys and whatnot, but it's the guys that play the game very hard nosed, and you can see it the way they play baseball. It's obviously not like hockey. It's not continuous. There's ebbs and flows and stops in it, but those guys that are talking to the kids before they're at bat and on deck circle before they go out there, and like the little things like that where it's like there's a lot more to being a fan favorite and establish yourself than just talent and getting drafted and being in and out of Edmonton. But it's like it's a challenge for these guys. I try and tell them, hey, how much can you kind of change our demographic and interaction with these kids in the 2 months that you have here. You might never come back to Edmonton, but it's going to be a piece of your career, and it's going to be a piece where Max Stagg last summer was a guy that stands out in my mind, and he was just a massive, like, he's going to play professional baseball, whether it's this year or the year after, but the most humble, down-to-earth guy that you could come across, and that's a guy to me where it's just like, you just have nothing but great things to say to pro scouts and college coaches, but it's pretty cool.
Who, as a manager / coach, because we got to use the term manager in baseball, who are some people that, you know, you've looked up to, whether it's just, you know, obtaining, whether it's, you know, strategy or just philosophically how you're dealing with players? Who are some people on the baseball world that, you know, you model your style after or look up to? Yeah,
it's funny. So that first year when I was coaching at 23 years old, it was kind of there was a catch to it. So I was the head coach, but I was mentoring under a guy named Ray Brown, and I don't know if he's been around.
I think
Vimy.
Dylan mentioned
yes,
that.
yeah. So Ray Brown, but it's kind of full circle for me because I played for Ray in the summer when he's coaching the Edmonton Prospects. But he basically came on as just to be my kind of mentor and to work under him and pick his brain. A guy who's been around professional baseball, but baseball for 50, 60 years. It doesn't necessarily matter in my mind. I just had a ton of respect for the guy. But even though, you're starting to get older, you're still so much wealth of knowledge of the game and things that on-field wise that I had no idea of as a player that you're starting to learn as a coach, right? It's if I'm messing up my lineup cards, what I'm giving the umpire, like there's a lot of ways that I can impact this team, whether it be defensive upgrades, run upgrades, or whatever that looks like. If I'm not doing my job, I'm not giving us a good chance to win. And I'm trying to set up all of our guys to enter games that, hey, it's a good matchup and it's what we want to see, and giving them the ability to perform at their best level, right? So he was a guy that really helped me in my early coaching career. And it's funny too. It's like I watch a lot of hockey, obviously, with the Oilers, but like a guy like Chris Knobloch that really kind of calmly, nothing. And that's one thing early in my career I think I would say I struggle with is like, hey, I'm like, I want to win, obviously, but I'm a hot fuse guy at times, and it's your ability to everybody in the dugout's looking at you. You're the manager, right? So to be able to just kind of let yourself breathe and not react to any degree that is being detrimental to the team, and then making strong decisions after that. That's a guy that, hey, I look at him like, hey, he's very calm. Yeah. And you see it all over the place in the NHL. You got guys like Torts that might be quite the opposite in short fuse, right? But it's unique.
That does seem to be a common kind of thread for a lot of players transitioning to coaching is you still need to care and be very passionate, but the intensity often has to be dialed down a little
100%.
bit. How did you deal with that? Were there some breathing techniques necessary there, or just kind of
I'd be lying if I didn't say I haven't got rung by a couple umpires in the last couple summers. But I think I just remember year one for the college program 5 years ago. It's something that as a coaching staff and myself personally, I'll do a cap at the end of the year where I want constructive feedback from my players. And hey, that's really difficult to do, right? It's difficult, and it's difficult to take constructive feedback at any level, but I want to know what I did well to help us from year to year, and I want to know what I struggle with. And early on, that was a lot of things. It's like, hey, we just got to understand that I need to do a better job when everybody's looking at me as a leadership role and I just being young at the time didn't help. But then, hey, year 2, year 3, and you start to get a lot better at it. You go out and you're talking to the umpire, and they're more professional conversations, and you're doing a good job at it. But you learn.
Sometimes though, like the manager does almost have to either, I don't want to say take one for the team, but you see it sometimes, like if strikes aren't going the pitcher's way, the pitching coach will come out and kind of have a discussion with the umpire to either create a little bit of a break in between pitches or distraction. Like, have you ever run into those situations where, like, this maybe not be the way I act, but I'm gonna have some sort of influence on the game?
100%. Like, there's gonna be times where I'm gonna tell him the truth about what I'm seeing, and if that obviously raises eyebrow for concern out of him and I get ejected, but it's also the way you go about it. You're not like running out there and just screaming in the guy's face. But obviously, hey, we're not seeing certain calls this way, or you're not. It's really tough too. We have the TrackMan strike zone in the dugout, right? Like that doesn't help. Well, no, that's an auto ring. You're not getting another sit on the bench after that. But like they obviously understand that we have instant feedback. That's where the game is going, right? So it's saying, hey, I'm not telling you you're not doing a good job, but like, this is what we're seeing consistently, and it's got to change. We'd like to see it change, right? So
is TrackMan commonplace in I guess both leagues now?
No, it's not in the college league. It isn't, but like in the WCL it is, and it's become more prevalent in the MLB too, in all the professional levels. Yeah.
So it's got to be pretty difficult when he's, calling 85% out of 100 to not go out there and give him that number, I guess.
100%. But also at the end of the day, he's not doing this on purpose, right? So it's like, hey, if he's gonna miss some for us, you better miss some for them, and it better go both ways. But
I'm guessing you just want the zone to be consistent.
That's it. You got it.
If he's off, at least it's off for everybody. And
at least our pitchers can make adjustments when it's a consistently not consistent zone, right? If he's given 2 or 3 inches on the outside corner, we can play that to our advantage. But it's when exactly what you said. You're giving it for 1 or 2, 3 innings, and we make a pitching change, and now you're not giving it to this guy.
Right.
Okay, well now there's eyebrows getting raised because you're not staying consistent, right?
Does every team have the track, man? Like if I'm on the road and I'm coming to Edmonton, do I have that same access?
Yeah, but like that's a very like pronounced thing in the league where you can have access to it on the bench. It can never be brought up or showed to anybody. Everybody you just log into Wi-Fi on the road, and on your iPad you'd have everything to that game too. Yeah.
Now on the tactical side, so Taylor was mentioning, potentially just giving a little bit of extra time. You're trying to protect the strike zone, the consistency of it. Is there also an element of some of those engagements where you're getting fired up, let's say, to just let your team know, I got your back?
100%. Like the times that I'll come out storming is when my guys, either that's their protection or their safety isn't being withheld, right? Then obviously we're gonna have a problem. And like what obviously that comes to mind is getting thrown at, or whether it's intentional, unintentional. If he's throwing at his head or he hits a guy that doesn't look unintentional, hey, now this is more than just balls and strikes. Now we got to make a decision there to at least in my mind protect our guys. And I think there's a lot of times where it does spark the guys up because, hey, at least, your manager has your back or your player's back. And a couple of years ago, like there was a pretty hard slide into one of our guys at second base that, and we can't actually cross the line of play as a coach. So you got to stand on the outside of the field and they got to come to you to talk. But there's certain like engagements like that where it's like, hey, I'm going to go talk to them about it because, you got your players back for sure.
So as soon as you cross that line, you're going to be getting ejected.
Yeah, that
basically.
happens. Yeah. The worst part about it is the college level, like the CCBC, they don't have that rule. So then it's always the first week of the WCL where, that's the tricky. You're playing. So I ran on the field the one year. That must have been 2 years ago. And then I immediately, you see me run on, but then run off. I was like, dang, that's not what I should have done. And then I got it rang up because of it, which is kind of wild.
And that's just the baseline?
Yeah, the baseline. Okay. You can't go into fair play as a coach. But then, I got my money's worth. But that was a bad one.
Yeah, if you're going to commit, you're going to commit, right?
Exactly. Right.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I had a note, but go ahead, Taylor. I totally blanked on that one.
It's funny when you to see when you see the managers blow up. Do you recall like last couple of years an infamous manager blow up, and maybe it wasn't yourself? You don't have to say the team you played, but can you recall a funny blow up? There's
a really good one that my assistant coach he was there for it. I wasn't there for this one, but he was playing for Moose Jaw in the WCBL. But the coach, they're just yelling at each other the whole game, and the umpire's giving it to him, whatever it is. And then he goes out he's also coaching third base, but he goes out there and he just puts his hat on the ground. He doesn't stand out there. He goes back and sits on the bench with his arms crossed, all grumpy. And then the umpire goes, what is this? Why is there a hat in the coach's box? What are you doing? And he just says, if you're not doing your job, I'm not doing my job. And then it turned to a quick flip, and then got after it. But yeah, there's some good ones.
Do you find most of the good coaches are former players? Like in hockey, you have a lot of overlap between, guys that played for a long time and then go get into coaching. Like you said, it's a good, easy transition because those guys are missing the game. They don't want to be totally out of it. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you do have, like the Ken Hitchcocks who like he played a little bit as far as I understand, but he never played high level. He really got into coaching early and just climbed the ladder purely on the coaching side. Yeah. What do you see kind of in terms of the percentages of former players that go into coaching? Are there even any, successful baseball coaches that just really start on the coaching side and climb the ladder?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like Bednar would be one too, right?
Yeah.
In Colorado. Yeah. I think the unique thing that this question kind of brings up for me is a lot of head coaches or managers are usually position players, and then instead of pitchers, because position players usually, like practice wise, you're like, for me as an outfielder, I'm still in the infield running the bases when they're doing all their first and third defensive plays and all this stuff, right? So it's just funny because a lot of position guys tend to be managers because you're doing everything within the game. You're learning the defensive side of it. You're engaged in all the plays as a shortstop or an infielder, and then you're also hitting. You have your hitting approach, and then pitching. It's you usually see the kind of lead guy being a position player, and that's where I thought I was a 2A, so I actually pitched all the way up to college and played position and hit. So it helps. Like I have 2 pitching coaches that work hand in hand to deliver quality to our guys, but it's nice for me to be able to say, hey, this is what I did in this position when I was pitching in high school, and this is what I used as a kind of a method for me in the time. So at least there's some validity to it, because as a coach or as a player, that was something that was big when I was playing. There's a fine line, right? It's really comes from trust within that individual, though, whether they have the experience or they don't have it. If I trust you and I trust that your knowledge is good enough about the game, then I'm going to buy into the culture and what you have to present to us, right? So I think that it doesn't necessarily matter in my opinion, but I think it obviously helps if I can say I was in this position, my 2-strike hitting approach was this, and this is what we should be searching or hunting in this count, right? But
it seems like baseball is the sport that does allow a lot of people from the outside. Like you look at Theo Epstein, general manager for the Red Sox when they won, then with the Chicago Cubs. I don't think he played a lick of baseball.
And I think that's the unique aspect of it. I mean, obviously everybody's watching Moneyball and seeing how, like, statistically they're trying to revamp a whole team, and it worked that year with Billy Beane and whatnot, but it's more, hey, we're going to focus on getting on base and on base percentage rather than historically what people have been looking at, right?
It does. Go ahead, man.
I was just gonna go back to you saying you played pitch, you pitched and you played out like the 2-way thing. You find like typically the best athletes are the pitchers and the best hitters, but then once you get to college, all of a sudden it's like you gotta pick one or the other. You think with Shohei now, like there's potential for this to last longer now?
Yeah, like I think there's like Bryce Eldridge is a top prospect for the Giants. There's a couple other guys in the minors that are doing something similar to Shohei and pitching and hitting, right? And I think he's opened up an avenue to where it used to be like obviously Babe Ruth was kind of seen as this god, where hey the things that he did previously are unobtainable, and then he brings that back to life where now everybody's looking at it and saying, hey, like this can be managed in a game and as a player, and it's crazy what he's doing. But yeah, I think like we're going more towards, hey, athleticism and your ability to do it. Why would it be any different if you can do both?
Do you find being a manager to be, more aligned with your passion and your interests versus being a specific position coach or pitching coach or one of the other specialized coaches?
Yeah, I think like the difference for me, year one, being the hitting coach to being the manager is it's just, I guess day-to-day looks a little different. But like I think what made me successful as a manager is going to be my supporting staff and everybody around me. And I think that they've done such an incredible job over the years. The guys that we have brought in like Flash and Levi Moon and Jamie Wilson and Wyatt Hummel and Nolan Uyghur, and the list goes on and on and on. But if I have quality surrounding me and they're guys that I can trust that are bringing quality level education and knowledge of the game, we're going to be successful as a team. And that's something that I promote. And it's also just trust. Like, there's a lot of things going on in a game, and hey, I have in my mind what I want to see in certain spots, but I do like to coach third base, and it doesn't really allow me to also think about pinch hitting and situations right on right, lefty on righty, stuff like that. So like I trust my assistants that they're going to bring that kind of knowledge to me during a game to make those big changes, and trust within them that that's the best look for us as a team.
Right.
How are you identifying the trust factor with guys you're bringing in the interview process? Touch on building the coaching staff.
Well, it's unique, but like a lot of the guys that we've used within the area are guys that I've actually played against and have known for 5-10 plus years, and infielder from UBC I played with for 3 years, one of my good buddies, Nolan Weeger. He comes in as our infielding coach, and Levi Moon, great athlete. I played with him for a long time, with and against him. Dylan Flash, same thing. It's a trust that, number one, the knowledge of the game is there, but then in the interview, I'm trying to see what he is like as a person. Yeah. And I know there's like, obviously on the baseball side or knowledge side, like there's a lot of guys competent of it, but you got to keep it in mind, like we're traveling every single day. You're spending time with these guys. So it's understanding, hey, that I enjoy you as a person outside of the game too, because we're living together for 50 days straight, basically.
That was the note I actually was struggling to see in my mess here. You'd mentioned, like you just said again, you guys spend such a high amount of time with each other in such a condensed schedule.
Yeah.
We've all been there where we've been around someone even we really like a little bit too much, and things get a little bit hot and there's a little more friction there. What are some of the things that you guys do to try to, maybe alleviate the uniqueness of how much time that you guys are spending together in such a short period of time?
I think definitely everybody has their own, like, their travel routines. I think like some guys are card guys, some guys love it, some guys are plug in and ISO on your own guys, right? I think the same with our staff. Like, hey, we'll play cards or do this or that, and sometimes it's like, hey, my social battery's done, man. I'm just we're gonna nap on this, right, or whatever that looks like. But and like we're spoiled too, like for being the only team in Alberta. We fly a lot of our trips too, and then we'll drive from our flight, right, or whatever that looks like. But cut out a massive piece of it with flight, which is huge. So I know that's a lot of the questions we get too from guys coming up. It's like, well, this is an outlier city. Like, how are we getting from A to B? And it's huge for us. So
that's kind of nice. You get to fly, because you always think of like Bull
Durham
or something.
Yeah,
just taking a bus around.
Well, we sometimes we'll still go Kamloops Kelowna trip. We'll drive out there, but like in hindsight, there's leagues where you're driving like 16, 17-hour bus trips. It's like that
totally
sucks.
How much of an advantage do you think that is for your athletes? Getting a little more time to relax or rest, I think is the better word, when you're cutting that travel time flying versus bus.
And
does it show?
As much as we do, it does help. Like it's still some grindy trips, right? Like I don't know. As much as I would like to say, like, yeah, it's really beneficial. Sometimes it's nice when teams are coming up to us, just because it's either early morning flight to get there from playing the next day at home. And I mean, you play 54 games in 2 months in a week, and I think we get 7 off days or something like that, right? So it's just, that's a key piece of it, is guys are learning how to live like professionals and play like professionals, where NCAA D1, you're playing 4 games every weekend, and then you have this normalcy in the week. But now it's like, hey, it's showing up for BP you're getting to the yard at 2 or 3, and then you're leaving at 11, and then it's every day.
Right.
There's no, it's unique.
So do you guys have any time in there to, maybe 1 or 2, but do you guys try to weave in some other team bonding events besides baseball?
The big one that's really cool, that's helped us the last couple of years, is that Oiler playoff run coincides perfectly with us getting into town. So our guys, we'll have kind of team organizational kind of get-togethers at, whether that be like a dinner at the Ice House or something like that downtown. But I think the guys, their ability to rally together and go be in the kind of downtown atmosphere and watch. I think it really, that changed our kind of switch, and they got to see how much the city rallied around the Oilers, and that's to the highest extent. But I think a lot of those guys wanted that in the last 2 years, to be like, hey, we want to see the fans be able to support us in that manner, and it really took our game from A to B. And last year making a huge push, and last year, on a Tuesday, Wednesday, we're getting 7,500 fans. That's where we started to really see it, I guess, coaches-wise. You're just like, wow, this is, the love's there, and the city's really embracing us.
How much do the guys feed off that? Like, the one game I always think of the last couple of years you've done well is the Canada Day game. Like, how much of a boost to maybe even both teams playing in front of a crowd that large?
I mean, you go play minor league professional baseball, you might never play in front of a fan 9,200 people like we do every Canada Day, right? So I think we went 21-4 at home last year. So I think that kind of speaks to the level of how much the guys love it. And I think that it just feeds off of their energy, and when they're kind of going like that, it's easy to number one, when teams have to travel up here and then get kind of immersed in 5, 6, 7,000 fan environment, it's tough place to win for road teams, which is nice. But
do you guys get involved in it's like, it just seems like the team too, and this is probably outside of your department, but the team has done a great job with the marketing too.
Oh, yeah.
Like the theme nights and all the different ways to try to get people to engage with the game. It's a baseball game, but it's the country night, or it's the Canada Day fireworks, or I think there's a Trappers night even. And for us old enough to remember the Trappers,
100%.
That's pretty cool to be able to go and kind of, have the nostalgic factor with that too. Like, is that something that kind of gets the guys? Like, I mean, you guys are a little separate of that, but those theme nights also seem to draw maybe a little more fans. So maybe there is a connection there.
Yeah,
some of that.
I mean, Steve Hogle, our fund director now, used to be our GM. Matty Murdoch, Ryan Gregg, our ops manager. Like, all these people do such an incredible job behind the scenes to make sure that that's loaded up and that fans are coming to watch more than just baseball. Right. And I think the organization and the admin side has done just a bang-up job of getting fans to come down, and then obviously it's my job and our team's job to keep them there and be a mix of competitiveness and fun, right? But I think that some of the things that Steve has brought to the table, you wouldn't even think are possible to merge with baseball, like mutton busting we had last year on country night was pretty crazy. And then I think Elvis Presley just came up of a military chopper on center field with his ladies, and the things that we've done are mind-boggling, but it's pretty cool to see.
Do you guys go down to does your marketing team go to maybe minor league parks or even professional, like MLB parks, to see what's going on and bring those ideas to the park?
Yeah, I know Steve is definitely, and he was with the Saskatoon Blades for a long time, their GM, I think, but he's done just a great job of trying to pick the kind of brains of other professional teams that do a really good job on that side of it. But yeah, there's been some unique ones, man, but it's been pretty cool.
Any personal favorites?
I'm trying to think. The one that is a crazy story, but they chose to release a hawk that was injured previously.
Oh no!
Which was it was a beautiful story. But this hawk starts flying down into the river valley, and then the hawk does a 180 and starts coming back to the fans.
Didn't want to leave,
and then it flies right into the netting, and in front of I want to say 5, 6, 7,000 people. I don't know.
A lot of kids.
Yeah, but the hawk was fine, and everything was hilarious. But I think now they just make this really good video about it, and they play the video on the trip. But that was an early one that was crazy. But the WWE last year, our mascot slammed some guy through a table. There's been a lot of good ones. But
oh man,
it's madness.
So this was a rehabilitated hawk.
Yes,
they're trying to let it out, which is great, right? Let it back into nature.
Yeah. No, it was beautiful until that.
Gets caught up.
Well,
in
good thing it wasn't like in Bakersfield when the condor flew into the bench and guys were scared about it. So those definitely could go sideways.
Gotta be careful with those birds.
Crazy ones.
So kind of going ahead now, like what do you sort of, envision for yourself in the next 5-10 years? Like it sounds like you've got a great setup here. There's tons of positives, but do you have some additional goals down the line in your career?
Yeah, I think like leaning more on the academic side for me, with my master's in sports psych, I think I'm going to continue trying to bridge that and creating my own company when it comes to sports psychology, and that's something that I've worked on. I work with our guys a ton in the last year, but finalizing like my CMPC certified mental performance consultant here soon, and then that's probably my next step, but that's something that I can also bridge into what I'm doing, which is really awesome. But I think there's a lot of pride taken in being the whole organization came up in 2020, right? And I retired right there, and then I've been with this organization since day one, and I think that's something that I take a lot of pride in. And obviously we want to see championships being brought here, and that's the end goal. But at the same time, we're creating draft picks and creating just amazing people coming to Edmonton and having such a great support from fans in the area. So there's no complaints at all, and it's been been kind of a dream for me in the last 5 years to be able to do, being local
Absolutely.
and stay here. So
I think you guys have
cool.
a lot more room to grow too as you integrate more with the baseball system and just creating more pathways for local kids to succeed.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's cool.
How much do you think, the way the Toronto Blue Jays have played last couple of years, obviously most recently coming very close to a championship, but what's that going to do for the game in our area specifically, for youth getting into baseball? How much of an impact that's going to have?
Yeah, I think grassroots wise, that's where you're going to see it, and you're going to see the surge in 5, 6, 7 years because of it. I think I remember being on the couch with a couple guys at Fort Hayes that were from Texas watching Bautista do the bat flip, and it's something that I'll never forget. And I know, like, for my nephews to be able to watch the Jays postseason run and those kind of things, that stems that love for the game, and you start seeing guys start to emulate, hey, I can be Bo Bichette or Vladdy or those kind of guys, right? And it's not as unattainable as they think. And I think baseball has continued to grow in the last 10 years here, twofold, but I think that's one thing that's going to continue to bridge that and grow even more.
Do you think the combination of that at the highest level, the MLB, but, a lot of these young fans are smart enough to kind of look at that and be like, well, there's not a ton of Canadians out here. I think there was the player on the Dodgers, right? He's Canadian, but that combined with, okay, well, we've got this great sport at the highest level in our country, but then they get to go and watch a Riverhawks game and see so many Canadians actually out there too. And it just connects maybe the dream a little bit more in terms of the belief that they could potentially do it.
Yeah, I think that's it. And even going down to watch a Riverhawks game, and our starting shortstop and our ace got drafted last year, and now they're integrated in the minors, and they're steps away from working to the pro level, right? And I think that's huge, and to even see it here in Edmonton, it's pretty cool to have that kind of with the next level of baseball players coming out of high school and elementary, which is awesome.
How many how many scouts on a given game do you usually see at the park, or do they travel as much, or is it phone calls, conversations that you're having with teams?
They'll come in person to more of the key matchups. Like Bellingham has been kind of our rival. They won it last year and we lost them in the semi, but they're a really strong team, and it's kind of us and them in the north every year leading the way. And then Corvallis is really cool because they play at OSU at Goss Stadium, and that's where your Adley Rushmans and guys have played with, Stephen Kwan, big MLB names, right? So I think those higher caliber matchups are awesome, and this is actually the first year we're going down to play Corvallis in Goss Stadium, so it's going to be really cool. And it depends, but they also have everything access to their fingertip of every video and every with Synergy and Trackman, so they don't necessarily have to come until they're, hey, we want eyes on this guy in person, right?
Any stories that kind of jump out to you in particular of guys that have come through the system that you've coached that are now in the professional ranks?
I'm trying to think. I got a good story from last summer, and it is with Max Stagg, and I think he'll be a pro guy probably this year, if not soon. But we had an unreal year last year, but it kind of all came in towards the end of the year, right? So we're sitting at 14-12, I think, just at the All-Star game and just past the All-Star game. And then Max comes to me, and he's Australian. He's an awesome guy. He's a lot of energy, but he has this haircut that's just it's a no guard essentially, but he calls it like a buzz cut. I'm like, that's not a buzz cut. You just no guard your head. But anyways, he goes, we're 14-12. He says, if we win today, we're gonna win the North, and we're winning the whole thing, like the North Division. And I was like, that's crazy. Like, that's a big ask. He's like, I'll bet this haircut on it. And he says, if I do it, you have to do this haircut. And I was like, yeah, there's no way. I was like, I'll take that bet. And we made something if we didn't do it. Sure enough, we do this whole thing. So my best friend's wedding is right in the middle of playoffs, so I had to miss one of our playoff games because this wedding, I was in his wedding party. So he at least let me go to the wedding with a full head of hair. But then I come back for game 3 at home against Victoria, and after batting practice, I'm sitting in the bathroom, and there's no guard. I tell you, I was bald. The pictures are
That's
horrendous.
my haircut too.
Yeah, but so then it took about a month to it was a great story. It was a lot of fun, but I'm coaching the last couple of games of the year with no hair, and my head is whiter than this bottle of earth water. So it was something, but it was a good one. It was a lot of fun.
Did you have to just shave it once, or did you have to keep it for a certain amount of months?
No, that
or?
was it. He was pretty keen on that. He just let me shave her, and
Nice.
it grew back pretty quick, but that was a good one.
You haven't been coaching for 30 years,
Yeah.
but at the same time, do you have, it's still been a while. Do you have any guys that have now become coaches that you've already coached?
Yeah, this is the first transition year of guys in our college program being true freshmen to then graduating as seniors, and now working in the Edmonton Padres AAA high school level. 3 of our guys and a couple other ones moving around, and Marco Sana is a cool one too. He kind of graduated playing with our summer program a couple years back, and then helped out as a coach this last summer and got a professional job with the Frontier League team, which that's semi-professional level. Right. So starting to see it, full circle, which is really cool. And I think that's the same thing, just trying to, if you can teach those guys 1 or 2 things that really apply to me that they can take on and carry on, it's fun to watch.
You said Ryan Smith was your favorite hockey player growing up.
Oh,
Who's your favorite baseball player growing up? I know you said Batista too at the bat flip.
Yeah, Vernon Walls. V-Dub was my guy. Yeah, I loved him and Roy Halladay. My parents took me to a game when I was 12 years old, and Roy Halladay shut out the Yankees in 9, and they didn't score a run either, so went to extra 0-0.
Wow.
And then it was the most incredible game to go watch, but the Jays ended up winning in the 11th, but Roy Halladay didn't go out in the 10th, but it was pretty cool.
We're going back a bit here, but was that a big part of that passion for baseball, like being a fan? Like obviously, you're out on the acreage. It sounds like you're not watching a ton of TV, which I think we all agree is good for everybody. But was there still an element of being a fan and having that as a driving force?
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think those are the years the Blue Jays were really strong and hadn't been since 92, 93. And your Roy Halladay, your AJ Burnett, they had a really strong staff. You had Alex Rios, and they were picking up guys like Frank Thomas that were doing cool things too and making headlines. And that team really established baseball for me. And then you start watching a lot around the league, and that was cool to definitely go play there too for Tournament 12, and being a Blue Jays fan my whole life was awesome.
How many games would you catch like on TV? Like the other challenge with baseball is there's so many games. I guess that's good though. It gives you more opportunity to watch.
It's fun, but even now, like you watch it with kind of a different perspective as a coach, but it's also you're watching baseball every day. Like nowadays, I'll watch baseball in the off season 100%, but like in mid season we finish a game and you're watching baseball for 3.5, 4 hours.
Right.
Yeah, I do like watching hockey a little bit more. It's
Gives
a little bit more
break.
exciting too. But
It's nice that's your break now again.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you have to spend quite a bit of time reviewing video of your team?
Yeah, we kind of have a whole process in place, but the most unique part of it is probably your hitters meetings and your scouting reports you're giving to your guys on who you're seeing. And it's not like you're pro level, so you're not getting a bunch of information at your fingertips, right? So it's really difficult to kind of go through and find either like spring video of guys from Showcase, whatever that looks like for their schools, whether that be D1, D2, whatever, and trying to put together a very good plan of attack for guys. That's one of the more challenging parts.
Is there a video service that seems to be better than others? Just for say a kid is, there's certain things you can sign up for.
Yeah.
Is there one that's better than the other that you found was easier to deal with?
The one we'll use in the summer is Synergy, and it basically has like every camera angle of every pitch that's coming in, but like that's not accessible for high school kids. But Synergy and TrackMan have worked really well for us, but I think it's starting to kind of the horizons going other ways too.
How much time goes into game planning in terms of kind of what we're just talking about, video and intel on pitcher or hitter? How much time are you putting in that before each game for your team?
Yeah, I would think like probably at least an hour to an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. It depends on the like when now we're talking about playoffs, that's a completely different beast, right? Like probably two to three, maybe more of like, hey, plan of attack. But then it's just meetings. Like I'll have a meeting with our pitching coach and we'll basically plan out, hey, A, B, or C, whichever way we see this game going, who are we going to land on? Like we want to be on the same page as soon as we can, right? So it's almost just a meeting with each coach and full communication with our staff of how we're going to approach a game. But yeah, it's tedious, but it's also it's fun because you put in that time, and then you see your game of attack, your plan of attack become efficient, and then you're like, okay, this is good coaching.
Yeah.
Right?
I guess it's extra challenging sometimes in baseball because you have so many back-to-back games. There's not
a lot of time.
There's not 2 days off before the next game to kind of put stuff together. Like it's just boom, 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 and like you said, that routine never really stops.
Well, and that's the thing that I don't know if people understand or not, but we actually never practice as a team because you don't have time to. So you always have like batting practice, but that's not us establishing and setting team plays up like you would. You'd have the whole week in college, and then you go play 4 games, right? And then readjust, reset. Okay, what do we got to attack this week practice-wise? But hey, we don't have that in the summer. It's and that's why when we're at home, like I'll try and show up 9 or 10 a.m. Guys will finish lifts, and then we're just accessible to these guys. Hey, every guy's gonna have something different that their coach wants them to work on, and they want to work on, right? So now it's trying to find out, okay, how are we gonna attack individually? How you're gonna get better this summer, whether you're an everyday starter or you're a bench guy or you're not playing much at all, because you still need to progress, right? Or else your coach isn't gonna be happy.
Do you guys have the opportunity before the season starts to have a training camp where you have a little bit of time to get on the same page with team tactics?
Yeah, and that's the funny thing is probably it seems like a lot of time, I guess, to us because we're used to it, but we probably have 72 hours, if that, of everybody report, because you think of, and that's not even your full team, but we'll get guys, everybody flies in, report day be the 27th or 28th, and we're playing on the 1st. So it's like, how do I, as a coach, how do I make everybody feel comfortable, and how can we do, if we have 1 day of practicing, what are the most important drills that we can run that can get fly ball communication taken care of, or our set plays in place, right? So it's unique. It's a weird setup.
Totally.
From a team building perspective, Sean mentioned, what do you guys do to get out in the community and stuff like that? But do you almost, when everyone gets in first game, do you do the roll call around the room to everyone introduce themselves?
Something like we have a team meeting on report day and then leading up to it, and I try my best but people also don't understand. We probably have, I think this last year, 55 different bodies playing for our team at some point.
Wow.
Whether that's a temp contract, whether that's a guy that comes in, gets drafted, is gone, whether that's a guy that comes on the back half. It's every time somebody joins our team, we're obviously trying to have a meeting to get him somewhat familiar with everybody, right? And not a meeting per se, but hey, pre-BP, letting the guy talk a little bit, or hey, tell us a fun fact about yourself and let's get into it. But then at the same time you travel with everybody, so there's that time to get to know each other, right? But yeah, it's unique. It's crazy.
We're gonna have to start winding up here right away, but just to kind of circle back to your early years, if you were hypothetically 10 again, is there anything that you would do differently? U Sports has evolved obviously throughout the years since you've been there. You went and played in that baseball academy in high school, for example. You made the decision to specialize at 15. Sounds like you made a lot of really good decisions. But it doesn't need to be specific to you, but even going back, do you think there's certain things that are existing in the youth sports landscape, and it can be specific to baseball, that shouldn't be there, or you'd like to see done differently, or things that you're happy still exist that were around when you were going through those years?
I think the biggest messages I have for recruits and when I'm talking to them and everything twofold is every guy has a different path, and my path looked like NCAA D2 to NAIA to draft looks to a blown ACL, and then summer and hey, retirement, right? And I've seen guys that went junior college to then UBC and then drafted out of UBC. I think that's the one thing that everybody has to understand is it's not the Division I title that you're chasing, and it's not the level that you're playing at. You're going to get equivalent looks at every level you play at. I think the big piece of it is understanding how you need to make yourself better as an athlete, or if that's the goal, the end goal is to play professional baseball, I need to be able to reflect on my abilities and say, how do I get from A to B, and what does that look like, and what does that progression look like? And as a coaching, more on the coach side of it, I think nowadays we get very cookie cutter with mechanics to where we're not allowing the athlete to be individualized and use the things that are super athletic in that person's swing per se, and not trying to just mold to a certain swing that we like, whether that's a Shohei or whatever that looks like. And that's on the coaching side of it. That's something that I really try and utilize. Like if a guy has a very weird swing, there's still something strong in that swing that's allowed him to get to the college level.
Right.
So how can I integrate, and how can we I propose to him a certain mechanical change that's going to help him out and get us towards where we need to be without being, okay, you have to swing like this.
Right.
So, yeah,
Right.
I think, those are kind of a couple of the things that stand out in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, just like there's certain things that you have to stay within structurally, but at the same time, having that awareness to realize we're all individuals. Your recipe for success is going to be different than the guy next to you. And, whether that's the specific techniques of your swing or, the way that you're even doing your training. Like for you, it was getting out on the acreage and or getting there before school and doing it that way. How do you think that young athletes can look for that a little bit more? Because it does seem like YouTube and some of these things do kind of get people thinking, okay, I'm constantly seeing this perfect baseball swing, and then the pressure builds and it's like, hey, this is the way I need to be. How can they still kind of keep that individual identity a little bit more?
Yeah, I think taking a lot of video of yourself is huge. Like, I wish I could even go back and see like my progression as a player from all the levels that I played in. So even at the college level, we try and get our guys videoed swinging a lot of the time throughout the year to see the progressions. But I think that's the big piece when you talk on the sports psychology side of it. It's just not everything's going to happen every day. You're not going to have this breakthrough, right? But you're going to work towards having the breakthroughs and the bigger changes mechanically or approach-wise mentally. But that's why, that was the message my dad kind of passed down to me. But trusting that if you're putting in work, there's no bad work, in my opinion. If you're working hard and you're doing everything you can do, maximizing it, hey, it's going to go towards the right cause, and you're going to get the coaching, and you're going to get the people that can come influence it and direct you towards where you need to be. But I think that work ethic is the one thing that can't be an option. And that's how you see guys that would have less talent take major steps past those guys, because they outwork them every day in the little things. And that's where it's fun, is outworking you in practice when I'm the B guy. And now we just switch spots, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
100%. Well, anything else, boys?
That's a good way to sum it up, I think.
Yeah, maybe just for the Riverhawks, like obviously I'm seeing them all over social media. We talked a bit about their marketing. They're doing a great job, but any other sort of, ways that viewers and listeners can interact with the team and get themselves out to a game?
Yeah, our socials do a really good job of trying to promote schedule. I know there's already ticket sales and season tickets that are available, nice. But I mean, everybody locally in Edmonton, they've done just an incredible job of supporting us in the last 5 years, and as an organization, we're super grateful. So that's been awesome.
And the season runs from?
Season runs from the beginning of June to June, July, and then August. Playoffs usually August 10th to 15th.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for anyone that hasn't been out there, it is an awesome experience, especially with our short summers. It is just an absolutely great outdoor event to participate in our city. So, Jake, really appreciate you coming on today and taking the time to be here, and thanks for a great conversation.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
To help support the community, please visit our website at usports.community and follow us at usportscommunity on all social media.
You can also follow and rate our podcast on Apple, Spotify, and Audible. Subscribe and like our video feed on YouTube.
Links for all our platforms can be found in the show notes.
Best way to help grow the U-Sports community is to comment on and share our content with your fellow parents and athletes.
This episode was produced by Nick Hussey of Hussey Multimedia, and hydration was provided by Earthwater.
The youth sports community is proudly presented by Nuance Hockey and Maw Golf.
Nuance Hockey provides detail-driven on- and off-ice development in the Edmonton area. For more information, please visit our website at nuance.hockey and follow us on social media.
Maw Golf provides elite coaching for golfers of all skill levels at the Millwoods Golf Club in Edmonton. Our apparel is provided by Burton Barley, prairie-inspired, golf-focused. To receive 15% off your next order, please visit birdandbarley.com and use our promo code YSC15.
We look forward to you joining the community next time.